Hey, what's up, everybody? My name's David.
And I'm Dylan.
And welcome back to 13 Days of Halloween, our movie marathon where we watch movies and we talk about them. Mm-hmm. If you're just joining us, today is day 5 and we're talking about the Richard Donner movie, The Omen. Not the remake of The Omen. Nope. It came out in 2006 on June 6th, 2006.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah.
Oh,
it made more sense once I saw the movie.
Sure,
but still,
sure.
Yeah, it's still like, really? That's like clickbait, basically. That's like the clickbait for a release date.
Yep.
But if you are not familiar with the series, we're watching all these movies, we're talking about them, we're spoiling the hell out of them. The idea is you've already seen the movie either recently or at some point and are familiar enough with it to understand everything we're talking about for it. The Omen is, I believe, the oldest film on our list.
Yeah.
We mostly we don't go like brand new stuff, but to me, horror got really interesting in the late 70s and into the 80s.
Sure.
There's not, there's like classics, like people like Nosferatu and stuff.
There's Nosferatu, Vampire, and, there was one more.
Young Frankenstein.
Young Frankenstein. The Cabinet of Dr.
We should have watched Young Frankenstein. We fucked up. Remember when we were like, we gotta have a few comedy ones on here so we can, have some levity with all the scary ones. Why didn't we put Young Frankenstein on the list? That's a classic.
We can change Creepshow to Young Frankenstein.
We could. I don't know. I've seen Young Frankenstein though. I do love Young Frankenstein. Maybe next year if people want. I don't know. Like 2 people watch this.
We'll still watch this one.
Anyways, we're going to talk about The Omen now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not as many people have seen this because it is a little bit older. I hadn't seen it. I didn't know that much about it.
I hadn't seen it, either.
It's a Richard Donner movie. If you're not familiar with Richard Donner, he's most known probably for Superman and Superman 2 and The Goonies.
Classic. This is like The Goonies.
Huh?
This is like The Goonies.
It's kind of like The Goonies.
It's
kind of like The Goonies plus Superman 3.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor.
It is like that. Both those things.
Yep. Anyways, Dylan, what do you think about The Omen?
I like The Omen. Omen was pretty good. To me, it seemed like, I don't want to say this without sounding stupid. It was so far the most horror movie I feel like I've seen so far on the list, as in where it's like, this is just a horror movie, not really a scary movie.
Mm-hmm.
With other movies, things are like the horror movies, but they're also like scary movies because you're supposed to be scared the whole time. I don't know if you're necessarily supposed to be scared the whole time you see this movie. I think it's just like a horrific
Yeah, because the other movies have like moments where you're like, be scared, and not necessarily jump scares, but those moments where you're like on the edge of your seat.
Right.
The Omen doesn't have that.
It's just a bunch of horrific events happening. Just horrifying
but to be fair, at the time, you didn't make horror movies like that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Big scare. It's a different style of film.
I feel like that hadn't happened yet, so this is why I think it's, like I said, I think it's like the most horror-esque movie we had, because this was horror then.
Yeah, definitely.
Horror was.
I liked The Omen, but I liked it in the way that when I watch certain movies, I'm able to go into it and think of like, okay, this is a 1968 movie. I'm going to watch it as a 1968 movie.
Sure.
To hold it to today's standards isn't necessarily fair.
No.
So it's not a great movie. I'll say that. I don't think it's like a masterpiece, but it's the movie you have to respect for what it did. It's clear that this was influential.
Sure.
I mean, there was moments where I was like, oh, they're taking photographs, and then the photographs show what's going to happen. How many horror movies have used that?
Yeah.
And then, the whole creepy kid thing, and not that this was the first movie that did that. But this I think was one of the big ones that popularized that. And of course, The Exorcist came out around the same time. I think,
because this is we're talking about kind of movie. It's a big thing where like the whole religious thing.
Religious horror, yeah, because I think not only was religion itself more popular, but like hardcore religion was more popular.
Yeah.
People, because even people that are religious now probably don't go to church every Sunday.
Sure. Probably
aren't like going to tons of lectures and like doing all that stuff. Even if you are religious, it's just times have changed. People aren't quite as like really dedicated to it. And so this was a time period where like when a movie came out and it was about a bad religious thing, like a demonic possession or the Antichrist, it was much scarier because that was stuff you were hearing every Sunday, and that was stuff you were talking about with people.
Now that we kind of that would actually happen,
right? And not some people might still believe that, but I think we've pulled back a bit. And like The Exorcist, I don't want to spoil The Exorcist. I'm not going to spoil The Exorcist, but just to say like. You watch that now, and even if you are religious, it's still scary. But you recognize, like, oh, they're actually calling like Catholic priests in to perform an exorcism. Well, that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
like it's stuff. It's like that's stuff that used to happen. So you have to kind of like go back in time a little
Yeah,
bit.
and they even touched on this because, like, at first I thought they were going to have the guy to go see in the town where Christianity was born. I thought, because he said that guy was an exorcist guy.
Yes, they
so
did.
I thought that he was going to do exorcism, but the guy's just like, here you go.
Yeah,
Here's
you can't
the knife.
exercise the Antichrist, I guess.
Yeah, he's just like, nah, I don't do this shit.
Yeah, but so, again, I respect it a lot, and I enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again. It wasn't a movie I'm like, oh my god, I'm thinking about this. You know, it's a movie you kind of, you know it all.
I enjoyed it. I saw it. It was just like cool. I recognized things that...
props, respect Richard Donner.
I recognize things that referenced it all the time and stuff like that now. So.
Yeah, but it's not the most entertaining. Like, I'd rather just watch another horror movie instead. And in fact, I'll just say this for the audience because it's gonna. I think it'll become clear, especially when we get to our next one. This was the first night we watched 2 movies in a row.
Yes.
I know we've said, like we're watching 1 a night, but because of our busy schedule, we wanted to do 2 tonight. That way we'd be ahead. So we already watched The Mist, which is a very different kind of movie, but I think there's more to discuss. I think, because I wanted to watch The Omen, but at the same time, I wasn't like super hyped on The Omen. Like, there's a few movies on this list that
I think
I'm
that's
like,
crazy
super
because I think
excited
it's kind of both thing we had. Where it's like we need to include The Omen, but I think both me are like we know we're not going to be really scared by this movie. We know it's going to be kind of like whatever. But I think like we both had the same thing. We watched that, and then also we watched The Mist. I think me and you were both equally excited to watch next.
Yeah.
I think we both really were looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. So. But again,
it was perfect night to do both.
The Omen was cool, and there was a lot of stuff I liked in it.
That was cool. I feel like, I mean, of course you can't. I mean, apparently kid actors were shit during this time period anyway. So I was like, but you didn't really.
They're still shit. Most of the
part. There was a brief window where they were okay. And that's like kind of like 80s ish. But yeah, you still had. I mean, they almost never did the kid thing, which would be the most terrifying thing because that is like devil incarnate, basically.
Yes.
But you almost never see the kids, so it's not really that creepy stuff. I think the scariest thing to do is dogs. Is like about as scary as they try.
Yeah, it's more of the idea that the world could potentially end, and that was one thing when I was reading the trivia. Like Richard Donner said, he didn't want to have like witches and like people with hooves. He didn't want to like go full because he wanted to make it seem like this could be happening right now, and
which I think is like how it's like to me. That's how I feel like it should, how it would actually happen. Yeah. Like you're not gonna have a child born with hooves because like who's gonna obviously that's Antichrist because you're not supposed to believe they're the Antichrist.
Yeah. So this was a very like realistic way of doing that.
Also, so they looked in the grave and there was like I'm assuming was a dog corpse or something. Yeah. They tried to say his kid's mom was a dog. Yeah, man. They're just trying to say they put a
yeah, but I wonder that I was like, why even bother to fake it?
Yeah.
Who are you fooling?
Who are you fooling? Who would take the funeral and goes, well, there's a body here, so clearly someone died.
Yeah, like
who are you possibly
don't put a coffin in there. I don't understand why you had to do that.
I'm so confused. The bones were like so meaningless.
But I liked actually that they didn't ever reveal like, oh, this was his mom and she was bad. I liked that it was just like, wait, so you're telling me that a couple of priests chose to murder an innocent child and they had this weird Antichrist for some reason? They just had him there and they were like, here, take him. Like, why did that happen? Like, I think that's so scary. I think to me that's the scariest thing in the movie is something you don't see. Right. It's just something they talk about of like they murdered that kid. Why did those priests do that?
Yep.
What? Why did that happen? Like that's scary. Like
I feel like
that they could do that.
And like I was telling David, like I'm not even gonna really go much into it because it doesn't really matter. But I just recently read a book called Bad Omens, which is like literally like obviously the basis of that is like this movie because like all that stuff the whole movie I just watched being like, oh yeah, they do that in the book, they do that in the book, and like that, like the whole baby switching thing and all stuff like that. So a lot of stuff like wasn't really jarring. I was just like expecting it, but yeah, like you said, it's just like that's creepy. Like, what was the point? They don't ever answer those questions, which is kind of better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the ending was, I kind of like how the ending was too. It was just like, literally everything folded out how it needed to fold out. Yeah, because that's how it was supposed to be. That guy.
Yeah, although at the same time, there was this is going to sound really weird. I don't know how to say this without sounding weird, like a crazy person. There was a part of me that wanted to see a movie that committed to having a kid stabbed.
Yes.
Like...
Because I really thought it was going to happen, and I was just like, oh, wow, this movie... Because at the beginning of the movie, a baby dies, and they switch bodies with it. That already starts off fucked up.
Yeah, and also I was
going
to say, like...
end with a baby getting... Like, a kid getting stabbed.
This is another thing you have to, like, compare to the time. Because now it's not as much. But I noticed, like, for a 1968 movie, this is violent.
Yes.
You see a decapitation, you see a man get impaled, and it pretty much shows him. Some of the effects are a little bit off, but for the most part they look good. I will say there's an effect that I thought looked great, and that's a part where a woman gets like a screwdriver through her cheek, and it's like sticking out of the side. She's also got like a prong in her neck, and she like pulls the screwdriver out, and I was like, not only does that look good, but for like 1968,
Yeah.
seeing somebody's like get like fucking like stabbed in the side of their face, that's fucking
Well, it's
crazy.
pretty bold stuff too. Because especially imagine if they actually did kill that kid. That would have been pretty ballsy.
Yeah,
during the time.
absolutely.
That would have been really ballsy.
Yeah.
That's pretty ballsy now, but especially ballsy back then.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so I guess to summarize, The Omen, a very good movie for a 1968 movie.
Yeah.
On a grand scale of film, does it hold up as much? No, a lot of older films don't, unfortunately. But gotta
It's a
give it
movie
respect.
you will watch. You'll enjoy it, and you'll recognize why it's important. But will you watch it several times over again? Probably.
Yeah, there's not a lot to discuss. So, anything else to say about The Omen?
No, that's it.
We both liked it.
Yeah.
It gets the wet rat seal of approval. Join us next time where we're going to talk about The Mist, which for us is going to be in about 30 seconds.
Yes.
And for you is going to be in about 30 hours.
24 hours is like a day.
Yeah, but maybe I'll be slow on the upload.
No, get better.
Follow us on Twitter. Skype us.
Yeah, Skype us.
And goodbye.
Bye.